Jan is an idealist who believes that the Camarilla should embrace change, evolve, and adapt to the new millennium. If it does not, Jan fears that the Camarilla will crumble and face a self-fulfilled Gehenna, as he thinks the tales of the Book of Nod are nothing more than superstitious drivel belonging in the Dark Ages. Thus, Jan has acquired no small amount of media influence to further his goal of eradicating kindred superstition. He is on a book-burning crusade, prompting the Inner Circle to punish all references to the Book of Nod, since such references feed apocalyptic, fear-gripping kindred society, and making it harder for the Camarilla to remain dominant. The final nights are here because foolish elders project their fears and read too much into coincidence and random chance. Jan is not blind, however. He knows that something is happening, but it is no more apocalyptic than simple change in kindred social conventions. It happened before in the vampiric legends, as it did in Constantinople and during the Anarch Revolt. Pieterzoon is not naive. He understands that most kindred are too short-sighted to know what is best for them. To this end, he is willing to indulge in the vampire's petty deceptions and grand jihads as long as they accomplish the necessary end, the preservation of the kindred and their secret ways. Despite being immersed in Byzantine kindred treachery since the very night of his embrace, Jan Pieterzoon remains committed to the noblesse oblige that characterize the most august of Ventrue. He truly believes that Ventrue dignitas includes guiding other wayward kindred, and subscribes to the crumbling ethic of leadership over greed, counsel over dominance. Greetings, kindred. Welcome to our World of Darkness and another Metaplot Monday, where tonight we're going to be doing the first of many World of Darkness profiles. And as you can see behind me, and by listening to the introduction here, we are going to be going over the Ventrue of Ventrues, Jan Pieterzoon. I love this character tremendously. His personal fight that he has to go through every night in the novels is gripping, incredibly gripping, not only due to the things that he has to do for the Camarilla, but to keep himself up and going himself. Jan is a self-proclaimed hero, and he wants to keep things the way that they should be in the Camarilla, but he also wants the Camarilla to evolve with the times. Another amazing thing about Jan Pieterzoon is when you find out later on, at least in the novels, in the Gehenna books, you find out that he has been finding evidence that the Antediluvians existed. He has been finding proven scripture of the Book of Nod that would just blow everything that the Camarilla has fought for the past 500 years out of the water. But because they don't want to change, he covers it up. And that's the sick part, is that he doesn't even realize that he's doing it. There is this amazing scene in the novels where he goes to check a reference to something that he has discovered, and finds a note that he left before inside that book, which leads him to find a hidden compartment in his own desk, which has videos of him discussing that he thinks that he is being brainwashed through Dominate by his own sire to not know what he has found. It is amazing. The frenzy that he does destroying the desk is completely understandable. But then there's also his feeding discrepancy. All Ventrue have it, and Jan's is something that it's very uncomfortable, it's very adult, and it's disturbing. And that's the fact that he feeds off of sexual victims, and that right there is enough. But as a Ventrue, it's not really his choice in the matter. The first individual he fed off of without his sire's assistance was such a victim, and that taste has stuck with him ever since. So what he has done in his own way of living is to open up safe houses and recovery areas all throughout the world, specifically in Europe, because he does not like America. He is very outspoken about that. But he opens up basically women's houses and men's houses so that they can be safe and recover. That's where he gets his retainers from and everything, and that's how he knows that he always has something to feed from. However, there is a scene in the Fall of Atlantis series where he and his entourage get attacked by Sabbat, and his retainers are killed. Therefore, he has absolutely no one that he can feed from. He brought two retainers who had no idea what they had in common in life. They just knew that they both worked for him. And when they're both killed, he gets to this point where he needs to feed because he needs to heal the bullet wounds and everything else that's in him. And he ends up dominating a hotel manager to perform unspeakable acts on one of the maids so that he has the ability to feed. But he also erases the memories from those individuals, which he also feels is a horrible violation of their just given rights. So, like I said, Pieterzoon is a massively complex character who has gone through a lot of different situations. Now, in the Clan novel saga, it says that Pieterzoon was appointed by his sire Hardestadt to coordinate Camarilla efforts on the east coast of the United States during the sect's counterattack against the Sabbat. By the end of the conflict, almost all of the East Coast was lost, but Pieterzoon managed to retake New York with Archon Theo Bell as his right-hand man. The relationship between Theo and Jan is something that, I really have a hard time saying could not have survived the situation with everything that's been going on in V5. Because obviously, the Gehenna novel and the Gehenna the Gehenna system book has been retconned. They don't exist, or at least there's no date on them, but also things that happened in those novels and in those books cannot happen now because other things have happened. Such as the death of Hardestadt, which took place in a motel in the western part of the United States, where Theo Bell shot off Hardestadt's head with his shotgun. He did that exact same thing, but he did it during the Convention of Prague. Now, we've also heard rumors in V5 that Pieterzoon has also been killed during the Convention of Prague alongside his sire Hardestadt. It says here that Pieterzoon was standing by his sire's side at the Conclave of Prague when Theo Bell revolted and assassinated the elder, starting the treacherous Bruja attack against the Ventrue. And although Theo Bell denies having killed Pieterzoon after he painted the ceiling with Hardestadt's brains, the younger Ventrue was never seen again and is believed to have been killed by the Bruja during the battle. Is believed to have been killed. I personally do not think so. I think that if everything that happened in the Clan novels happened, and Pieterzoon did go through all of that stuff with Theo Bell, I have a feeling that he might very well be playing on the Anarch side right now. Or he's hiding within the Camarilla in some fashion. There is always the possibility that the things that Pieterzoon was attempting to do in the Gehenna novel could actually still be in the works in V5 in the background. And what I mean by that is something that I've used in my games on many occasions. I've actually started using it in my games recently again, which is the Neftali. And the Neftali is a word that literally translates to highest point, and it's a subsect of the Camarilla that agrees that the Antediluvians and Cain existed, that the Book of Nod is not 100% full of crap, and that they are there to try to prevent Gehenna. It's basically a warrior sect of the Camarilla that is anti-Gehenna in a more adequate way than just let's ignore the fact that this crap existed. And I'm really, really glad that that is a thing. I have a theory for V5, and I would like to know what everybody's thoughts is on this. We have a prince in the Camarilla who has an unknown sire, who is a Ventrue, who is an 8th generation, and we don't know when they were embraced. She is a powerful woman who wants to destroy the glass ceiling of the Camarilla and make it into something new, make it into something stronger. She has her own machinations, but she's not exactly what most vampires would consider Ventrue, especially since you can't even name her lineage. What if the 8th generation Ventrue premier of Mexico, Fiorenza Savagna, was the child of Jan Pieterzoon? That is what I am putting out there. I think that would be such an amazing continuation of this storyline, that this powerful woman who obviously has things going in on her own thought could very well be the child of Pieterzoon and could very well be continuing this legacy of Neftali, that's the plot line that I'm running in my game right now. So I'd like to know what everybody's thoughts is on that one. Now, hopping in back over to Pieterzoon, it says that in his appearance, he's the archetype Dutchman. Jan is slender with deep blue eyes, spiky blonde hair, but sometimes colors it when traveling. Always seen in the finest of subtle fabrics and accessories of highest quality. He is dressed in the latest of fashions. Like most Ventrue, Pieterzoon had a way of using 100 words to say what could easily be said with but one. Pieterzoon is just a very interesting character all the way around. He suffers from an extreme case of the Ventrue clan weakness, like I said before, where he can only feed off sexual assault victims. So we are lucky enough to know a lot of things about Pieterzoon. We know that he's a Ventrue. We know that he was embraced by Hardestadt himself. Now that is Hardestadt the Younger, not Hardestadt the Elder, which is something that most people just don't, in character, should not grasp that there's a difference. He is a 7th generation Ventrue, and he was embraced in 1723 of the current era, and he looks like he's in his late 20s. Now, one thing that's really neat about Pieterzoon, though, is his discipline set. He is said to not just have dominate, fortitude, and presence like the standard Ventrue, but he also practices Auspex. He also practices Obfuscate. He has Potence, and one of the best things is from a friend of his that he has, which is our dear Lucita of Aragon. He actually does practice a little bit of Obtenebration himself. So that is a pretty cool concept for a Ventrue with that one. But yeah, there's just, this is a character that I feel is probably not gone in V5 like it might be portrayed as. I feel like this is going to be a large reveal later on, and the idea of him just being gone is not something that I see. I'm really shocked that Hardestadt fell as hard as he did, as fast as he did. But it also did cause a nice shuffling within the vampiric world of the Camarilla and the Anarchs, and bringing the Brujah 100% over to the Anarchs. I don't think we're done with Pieterzoon. I would like to hear your opinions on him, And like I said, this is the very first Kindred Bio special that we're going to do. I do plan on doing many more of these. We might actually get a few of these coming out back to back just because I'm enjoying them so much. But Jan Pieterzoon, he is an amazing character all the way around. The quintessential Ventrue in my opinion, and I've definitely used him in a lot of amazing plot lines in the past, and hope to see him again in the future so that I can use him again, because I like to run things at least adjacent to canon. I am WoD Maquette. This is our World of Darkness, and thank you for joining me with this bio look at Jan Pieterzoon, the child of the Camarilla. Good evening.